Hi, boys and girls. Mrs. Moore here. Today I'm here to teach lesson 2 of our picture graph lessons. By the end of today, you're going to be able to create your own scaled picture graph to represent a data set. You will also determine an appropriate key based on a data set of information. Let's get started. So, before I teach you all of the wonderful new learning, I want you to think about what you already know from yesterday's lesson. I'll start by just saying that the purpose of a picture graph is to be able to compare data or collected information using pictures or symbols. I challenge you to stop this video and remember, where do you always look first when studying picture graphs? And what are the different components of a picture graph? Be ready. I'm sure you were able to determine that you always look at the key first because it unlocks the value of each symbol, which unlocks the entire picture graph. It tells you what each symbol is worth. Fantastic. After the key, you always go right to the title. The title always tells you what the graph is about. Then you look at the specific categories of data. The categories are the specific types of data. Grade and number of students are categories for this picture graph. After that, you go look at the symbols and start determining the number of students in each category. Wonderful. I do have a favor. I would like for you to take your picture graph resource from yesterday and either have it next to you if it's printed or pulled up on your screen, because it's going to be helpful for you during this lesson. Okay, sweet peas, today we actually get to make a picture graph using information from a data set. So here is my data set, which just tells me the number in each category. So let's look. The title says cookie baking competition. Okay, so I know this whole thing is about a cookie baking competition. And the categories are the names of different people and the batches of cookies that each person made. So Lila made 5 batches, Durante made 20 batches, Mikale made 15 batches. Okay, perfect. I do notice though, here's my picture graph, but it doesn't give me a key. Well, boys and girls, that's because we get to come up with the value of this symbol based on our data set. So let's look very carefully at our data set. When selecting what your key and what your symbol should be worth, it is very important to study your data sets. The reason it's important is because you need to determine and select a multiple or a number that's able to represent the data in each category. I always start by determining, is there a number or a multiple that goes in to each of these category totals perfectly? In a simpler way, is there a number that goes perfectly into 5, 20, and 15 with nothing left over? Pause the video and you guys see if you can come up with a number or factor that goes into 5, 20, and 15 perfectly. Were you able to determine that a perfect multiple is 5 because it goes into 5, 20, and 15? Well, yes, if there's a number that's able to go into every category total, then that is the value you should make your symbol, because I won't even have to split the symbol in half because it will go into each of these perfectly. So each circle represents 5 batches of cookies, and 5 is a really great value for the symbol because 5 goes into all of these category totals. So it will represent it perfectly. Okay, well, let's get started completing our picture graph. Lila made 5 batches of cookies. Well, that's very helpful because each symbol is worth 5 perfectly. So I would only have to add 1 symbol for Miss Lila because she made 5 batches of cookies, and 1 circle represents 5 batches. So it matches the data set. Perfect. I'm going to scooch it over so we can compare really easily. Durante made 20 batches of cookies. So I know each symbol is worth 5. So I have to add the symbol worth 5 until I can represent that Durante made 20 batches. So here's 5 batches, okay. Here's 10 batches because each is worth 5. This represents 15 batches. And one more symbol worth 5 would represent Durante's 20 batches. Well, let's check our work by counting by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20 batches of cookies. Lila has 5 batches. Okay, now let's look at Nikolai's. Nikolai had 15 batches. Pause the video and determine if each circle is worth 5. How many circles would you need to put in Durante's row to represent 15 batches? Did you hard workers determine that we would need to put 3 circles to represent 15 batches of cookies because each circle is worth 5? So I would count 5, 10, 15. Excellent. We're going to do one more together, but before we do that, I want you to remember the reason we chose 5 as our scale is because 5 went into each category total perfectly. And so it was a very, very helpful number to choose. Okay, let's do this one. Ooh, this one looks fun. So for this picture graph, we are plotting the class ice cream preference. So my whole thing is going to be about the type of ice cream that students in our class prefer. So the categories of ice cream are chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, Rocky Road, chocolate and vanilla, or cookie dough. So here are the types of ice cream, and here are the votes, the number of students who voted for each type. Okay, so I know when I'm selecting what my symbol should be worth, it's very important to study my data set. And I start by determining, is there a multiple that goes into every category total perfectly? Would 5 work? Well, no, 5 wouldn't go into any of these totals perfectly. 1 would work, but I don't want to have to add 12 whole ice cream cones. Let's see if we can do this in a more efficient way. Well, 2 would work because 2 goes into these categories. And if I split 2 in half, I know it's worth 1, so I could use half of an ice cream cone to then represent 1 because it's worth half the value of 2. Okay, let's do 2. So a full ice cream cone is going to be worth 2. So if a full ice cream is worth 2, then automatically I know from yesterday that a half of an ice cream must be worth 1 because it's worth half the value. Great selection, boys and girls. So if each ice cream cone is worth 2, I know 6 students voted for chocolate. So I would need to add 1 to show 2 students, but they had 6. So 4 and 6. Perfect. So let's double check our work. 6 students preferred chocolate, and I showed that by using 3 symbols because each symbol is worth 2. So 2, 4, 6. You guys think of how many symbols would I need to use to show 12 students voted for vanilla if each symbol is worth 2? You're right. I would need to use 6 symbols, and I'm going to check my work when I'm done. So 2, 4, 6. 8, 10. Let's move this guy over. 10, 12. Let's double check. Each symbol is worth 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Does that represent 12 students voting for vanilla? Yes, it does. Strawberry? There were 2 students who voted for strawberry. Pause the video and determine how many full or half ice cream cones would I need to include on the strawberry row to show that 2 students voted for strawberry? You're exactly right. I would need to just put 1 ice cream cone because 1 ice cream cone represents 2 students. Awesome. So for Rocky Road, only one student voted for Rocky Road. I know I can't use a full symbol because a full symbol is worth 2. So right away, I know I can use a half of a symbol because it's worth 1 student. So a half of a symbol would be worth 1 student who voted for Rocky Road. Oh my goodness, chocolate and vanilla had 7 students vote as their favorite. Did you guys determine how many ice cream cones I would have to use? And would I need to use any half? You're right. So first I'm going to get to 6 by using 4 ice cream cones by adding 3, 2, 4, 6. But I can't add another because only 7 students voted for chocolate and vanilla, and if I added another, it would be worth 8. So right now I have 6. How do I get to 7? You're exactly right. I would have to add 1 half ice cream cone because I know that's worth half of the amount of 2, so it's worth 1. So let's practice. 2, 4, 6 plus a half of 1 is worth 7. Okay, for the last one, 2 students voted for cookie dough. How many symbols would I have to add to show that 2 students voted for cookie dough? And would I use a full symbol or a half? You are exactly right. I would use 1 full ice cream symbol. Okay, boys and girls. So that is my mini lesson for today. You will now have the opportunity to answer some questions about picture graphs, and you'll also get to design some picture graphs of your own. Please make sure, if you need support, to use your picture graph resource. You can also go back and watch this video as many times as you need to. Thank you for being excellent listeners. I can't wait to see the work that you turn in today.